In 1974, Fortune magazine said these things about Mehdi, and I quote, "He has the complete ability to sympathize and empathize. He is a master judge of human nature and human relations. When he speaks to someone, he makes them feel that he is really interested and that they are important. He individualizes people," unquote. Those of you who have studied him know that Mehdi did not start out in this country as an incredible life insurance person. He did not inherit an established business or even a list of strong prospects. What he has and what he's done, he's accomplished because of himself. I know of no other individual with the drive, motivation, or concern, the commitment that Mehdi possesses. If he can borrow, or if you can borrow, just a bit of what he has, I guarantee you that you will be better. A success by every imaginable standing. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a warm welcome for Mehdi Fakharzadeh.
It is indeed a pleasure, an honor for me to be on this platform again and address the greatest insurance salespeople in the world. This is a proud feeling, cannot be described. It has only to be experienced. My friend, Mr. Liss, said I came originally from Iran. These days, to be an Iranian is not an asset. In November 1979, when the Iranian students occupied American embassy in Tehran and captured our diplomat as a hostage, it happened that one day I went to a coffee shop. I sat on the counter and I asked for a glass of milk. A young American was sitting next to me, and he started to tell me, "Look what we did for Iran. We sent them military service. We sent them all kind of advisor, supplies, money. You just name it. Look what they are doing in return to us." In a very angry way, he said, "I wish I were in Iran and I could kill some of these Iranians." Then he asked me, "What do you think about it?" I said, "You are right." Then he looked again, he said, "By the way, you seem to be a foreigner. Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Italy." Before coming to this country in 1948 from Iran, there was a common saying that the streets of the United States is spread with money. They need someone to pick them up. Can you believe it? The very first day I was in this country, I found a $20 bill on the street. Since then, I'm looking for another one. Unfortunately, so far, I couldn't find enough. The longer I stayed in this country, the more I realized how true it was, this statement. I'm sure that most of you know that when I came here, I had to go to Utah. I was on the way 3 days and 3 nights by the bus. And when I found my friend in Utah, I was absolutely exhausted. The following day, in the early morning, they got up. They were supposed to pick up cherries. They asked me whether or not I wanted to join them. Although I was dead tired and I was practically sick, I decided to go with them. The orchard provided the baskets, and I leisurely tried to pick up some cherries. At the end of the day, they told me I made $7.50. I said, what? $7.50 for what? I could not believe it. Do you know why? Because I was comparing that work with a common laborer in Iran. A common laborer in Iran, he had to work from sunrise to sunset. Real hard work. In this country, a common laborer does not work. The machine does everything. But the poor man in Iran, he had to carry lumber, bricks, steel, cement, mud, with his shoulder, back, neck, head, from the ladder, step by step, from one level to the other one, and for the entire day, he was receiving 25 cents, less than 25 cents. When I compared that $7.50 with less than 25 cents, I said to myself, how true it is that the money is spread all over the United States and need someone to pick it up. I'm told that I'm highest paid man with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. They say that I make more money than the president of the company. Even if it is a lie, it is a good feeling. Isn't that true? For a man like me, who doesn't know any English, who doesn't know anybody, will be in such a status? Not knowing English and having accent. During this hostage business, I was making a speech in west part of the United States. Afterward, two ladies came to me. They shook my hand. They said, your speech was this and that. That is beside the point. They said that you have a very beautiful accent. Where are you from? I said, I'm from Texas. Making that kind of money, being in that position, I can assure you, it is not easy. No matter how you slice it, you've got to work and work and work. Nothing can replace the work. As a matter of fact, in Iran, we say, bad آورده را باد میبرد. The thing that you get easy, it goes out of your hand easily. But when you work for it, then you will appreciate it. Also, we say, کار نیکو کردن است، پر کردن است. Which means, practice makes it perfect. When you do practice on everything, it makes you perfect to do it. Repeat. Would you please join me and put your finger like that and snap it? Everybody, please. Beautiful. Now you put your finger like this and snap it. Nobody is doing it. Do you know why? Because with the first one, you have the practice. With this one, you don't have the practice. We also say, ترک عادت موجب مرض است. Which means, when you get used, when you are in a habit of doing something, if you don't do it, you will get sick. I'm positively sure that you will agree with me that when we were a kid, We never wanted to take a bath or brush our teeth. They made us to do so. But right now, it is a habit for us. It is a habit. If we don't do it, we get sick. Isn't that true? That is the reason that more than 80% of you people who are here now are the repeaters. I can assure you, in the beginning, it was not easy for you to do so. You had to work for it. You had to work for it. In the beginning myself, I was working 16, 17 hours a day, including Saturday, Sundays, holidays. Right now, I'm getting up every day, 5:30, and I don't go home until 7:30. I was in a platform some time ago with a gentleman by the name of Frank Satali. He's from Mutual of New York. He was telling me that during Depression, he got married. He didn't have any job. He looked all over. He was willing to work for $40, $50 a week. He couldn't find anything. Finally, some of his friends told him, why don't you go to insurance business? He said, the nearest office that I could find was a Mutual of New York. He went there, and the manager interviewed him. And evidently he liked him. He said, young man, I'm going to make an agreement with you, whereby if every single day you go to the field and you talk to 10 people and you bring 10 no's to me, I will give you $50 that day too. He said, what? What? You mean that if I go to the field and talk to 10 prospects and they tell me no, you are going to give me $50 for that day? He said, yes. He said, could I work Saturday and Sundays? Frank said that he was so enthused, he was so excited, he was so pleased. He went home, and the following day he couldn't sleep at night. Early morning he got up and he went to the field. To the first man he got, he said that I just joined Mutual of New York and I want to talk to you about insurance. He said, I just got heart attack, I'm uninsurable. He said, that's great, that is wonderful. He went to the second one. The man said, you are too late. I just bought $100,000 insurance last week. He went to the third one. He said, for heaven's sake, I have insurance up to here. I'm worth more dead than being alive. But he was not upset. He was not happy. He was very happy because he's coming closer to the $50. Son of a gun, the sixth one, he said, yes. Frank said that I never made that $50. Isn't that true about our business? Isn't that the way that we should do the business? The way that actually we look. Our job is to see people. I always say the best job is created. This is our job. We have just to go and talk to people and make money. Isn't that beautiful? I always say that if you ask my family, what is Mehdi's hobby? They say to be with people, because I love people. Now I go to one man, I spend 1 or 2 hours with him. I enjoy myself. I have a happy life. I have a great time. And in the meantime, I made $5,000. Is that too bad? Is it bad? That is the reason that I'm just saying that we have the greatest business. I make a speech all over the country. I'm sure that you know that. About 2 years ago, I was making a speech in Midwest, and I was telling to my audience that always I do my best in order to change the negative to positive. Because when you are thinking positive, you can make plan. When you can make plan, you can work. But when you are depressed, you can't. You can't do it. One man raised his hand. He said that you are generalizing. Be more specific. I said, all right. I said, just last year alone, I had $40 million rejection. Probably $40 million doesn't mean anything to you, but it's a lot of business to me. I said that anytime that I think, and it reminds me of $40 million, if I tell you that I don't get depressed, if I don't get unhappy, I'm lying to you. I'm a human being too. However, I always do my best in order to change the negative to positive. When I think, anytime that I want to be depressed, upset, I say, for heaven's sake, I don't have any reason whatsoever to be depressed. Why? Because still I'm number one with Metropolitan Life. They are telling me that I'm making more money than anybody else. There are so many publications written about me. I'm in demand for speeches to go all over the country, all over the world. A book is written about me. So I don't have any reason whatsoever to be depressed. So what would happen? I change the depression to a happiness. One man raised his hand. He said, you have all those qualifications. You cannot compare, I cannot compare myself with you. If I get a $25,000 rejection for the whole year, it will ruin me. He said, I'm not number one with my company. I'm not making the money that you do. I'm not in the publication. A book is not written about me. So he did his best in order to prove to me that when he goes to some depression, there is no way for him to get out of it. I said, well, let me tell you that how you can get out of it. I said, what is the population of the world? He said, I don't know it. I said, I know it. It is 4,200,000,000 people living on this earth. I said, do you know that 90% of the people on this earth do not have their own home? Do you know more than 90% of the people on this earth, they go on hunger? I said, if we have statistics, because I'm talking to the more than average people, those people that I was talking to, they were more than above average in this country. I say, if we have the statistic, you are among the first 200 million, which means 4 billion people, they wish they would be in your place. So don't you think that you have to be thankful to God? Of course, as I always say, if I tell you that we don't have problem, I'm lying to you. I'm lying to you. I went to my office some time ago. It was a few years ago, and I was working. One of these old-timers came to me. He said, Mr. Mehdi, he started to talk to me about this and that. Then my secretary came. I said, I have a bad news for you. I said, what is it? He said, the $250,000 that you wrote with the advance payment, it was rejected. I said, that's all right. The old timer said, it is all right. I said, yes. He said, it's all right. I said, yes. He said, $250,000 with advance payment, it's all right. I said, what shall I do if I kill myself? Could I do anything? He said, you're a fantastic man. You're a great man. He shook my hand, he left. After that, I went to meditation. And after about 10 minutes, I became sick. But seriously speaking, I found out. I did some estate planning for this man. He was 60 miles away. I called him and I said, I want to see him. I went there. Of course, I didn't tell him that he was rejected. I said, this is not the time for you to get the insurance. But with the same way that I approached him, I approached his son-in-law and his daughter. And I wrote $250,000 to him for his daughter and $300,000 for the son-in-law. Is that too bad? Now, if I were depressed, could I do that? I couldn't. When I go all over the country, I hear all kinds of complaints. I'm an old man. I can't do anything. I'm a young man. I can't do anything. I'm in the city, big city, and the competition is so keen because there are so many agents and there are so many agencies. The one who is in a small city, he said, well, this is a small city, I don't have any prospect. The one who is big is with big company, he said, our company is so big, they don't pay attention to any service. They don't pay attention to any agent. The one who is a small company, he said, nobody knows our company. Then they blame on what? On inflation, unemployment, black, white, FTC report, not knowing people, not knowing sophisticated planning. Anytime I hear about old age, I remember about Woody Woodson, that after being the chairman and the president of American General for so many years, and he brought the company practically for nothing to one of the most advanced company in this country. At age 70, he retired and he came to the field, and he's doing such a fantastic job. When I hear about the inflation, I think about those agents who are in Israel, that they are doing such a fantastic job. Year after year, they're qualifying themselves for MDRT. And last year alone, they had 140% inflation. When I hear about unemployment, 7% unemployment, I said, for heaven's sake, what happened to the 93% that they are working? When I hear that being a female, I said, for heaven's sake, look at Japanese ladies. Do you know that more than 80% of insurance in Japan is sold by the ladies? Now we look at ourselves here. Do you know how many ladies we have? Year after year qualifying for $1 Million Round Table. When I hear that we don't know too many people, I think about Norman Levine, that as Stanley said, he was born and raised in New York all his life, and then he went to California. Not knowing a sole person, within a short period of time, he said for 3 years, but I give you an up-to-date time, he close to $200 million agency he created. When they say that I don't know wealthy people, it reminds me of John Savage, that every year he is writing $14-15 million, and 90% of it is a small contracts. When I hear about the FTC, I think this is the greatest thing happened to us. People now, they want to get the insurance. Go and give him the term insurance. Don't argue with him. I never argue with him. I said that, or he said, well, I understand that the term insurance is better than whole life. I said, you're absolutely right. How much term do you want? Then I will write the application. 2 years later, then you go and try to convince him. And whatever you want to say now, tell 2 years from now. because no company can compete with you at that time. When I hear about the sophistication, that I don't know too much of things to convince my colleague, my prospect. I remember about 3 years ago, I made a proposal to 4 lawyers. They read it. They said, Mehdi, it is so simple. It is so beautiful. It is so understanding. Do you know that some of these agents bring us some proposal for 10, 15 pages, and we have to read it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and still we have some questions? Yours is so simple. How did you make it so simple? I said, the reason mine is so simple, because I don't know enough English to make it complicated. So let me ask you people, what is it? To me, all these things that I mentioned, they are rationalization. Being old, being young, being female, unemployment, inflation, big cities, small cities. No, sir. No, man. We don't have the commitment. In closing, I want to emphasize one point. I cannot thank God enough that I am in the insurance business. I'm with Metropolitan Life. More than anything else, I'm in this country. Forget about the new regime, that we don't have any embassy in Iran and nobody can get out here. But I was told, even during the Shah's regime, that everything was so beautiful and great. People were going in the middle of night, standing in line in order to get a number to present it the following day to American embassy and get their visa. I understand the same thing is true in many other countries. That is the reason I'm just saying I cannot thank God enough that I'm in this country. The country. Well, thank you very, very much. It was nice being with you. Thank you.